Now let's take a look at one of the three main purposes of the Fed.
And that is?
To promote the integrity, efficiency, and accessibility of our country's payments system.
Oh, hey there.
Hi.
How can I help you?
How much are these again?
These are $58.50.
Good. I'll take them.
Great. All right. Will that be cash or credit?
Cash.
Perfect.
Paying with cash is a simple transaction. The customer gets the merchandise and the store gets the money. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes to make that happen.
And here's your change. $1.50.
Thank you.
Great. Most people don't see the payments system that supports the many ways we pay for goods and services. Cash, checks, credit cards, debit cards, and other means. Do you know who's very much involved in making sure payments are safe, secure, and efficient? Right, the Federal Reserve. To understand how it all works, let's look back in time. Paper money of one kind or another has been used for more than 1,000 years. But in the United States, even long after the Revolutionary War, there was often no single paper currency that everyone in the country trusted. Different banks printed their own banknotes. So how could you know what they were worth?
You like the cow, eh? Cost you $10.
A fair price. 5, 6, 7.
Wait a minute. I've never seen those before. What bank are they from?
They're from Stormy Ridge Bank, as you can see.
Stormy Ridge Bank? I never heard of them.
There was no uniform U.S. currency well into the 19th century.
Does that mean you're not going to sell me the cow?
That made trade really cumbersome and confusing. Who would accept which currency, and how much was it really worth? Banknotes across the country were denominated in dollars, but the further you got from the bank that issued them, the less likely it was that someone would give you $1's worth of goods or services for them. Today, there's just one official U.S. currency. All our paper money has Federal Reserve note printed right on it. The Federal Reserve Board is in charge of issuing U.S. currency, turning paper into lawful money. The Federal Reserve banks distribute both currency and coins to financial institutions.
Right, we make sure that the payment system is safe, secure for the consumers in the region and nationally.
The Federal Reserve plays a key role in the provision of many, but not all, forms of payment. For example, there are other payment mechanisms, particularly card systems, that the Fed doesn't have an operational role in. More often, moving funds is a matter of moving electronic information, not physical objects. Typically, checks are scanned and the front and back images, but not the paper checks themselves, are sent electronically, or they're converted to electronic payments. There is another part of the payment system called Automated Clearinghouse, or ACH. The Federal Reserve processes a huge amount of the electronic financial transactions, like direct deposits of people's paychecks. Fedwire is a system operated by the Fed that allows financial institutions to transfer large amounts of funds immediately to other financial institutions on behalf of their customers.
You can think of payment systems as the plumbing for our economy. Payment systems facilitate the movement of money to support economic activity. So for the U.S. economy to be effective, we require payment systems that are efficient, that are accessible, and that their users have confidence in.
The Federal Reserve payments system takes care not only of private and business transactions, but also government transactions. The Fed is the fiscal agent for the U.S. government. That means it does things like maintaining the Treasury Department's bank account, as well as issuing, servicing, and redeeming government securities on behalf of the Treasury Department and its customers. Now you know. No matter how you pay for that pair of shoes or that cow, there's a very complex system working behind the scenes, making sure payments are safe, secure, and efficient. Cash and checks are traditional ways of payment that have been around since long before there was a United States of America. Today, using advanced technology, financial transactions are conducted around the globe electronically and instantly. The Fed is a major participant in our nation's payments system. Until recently, when you wrote a paper check, you were doing something not very different from what people did hundreds of years ago.
The Federal Reserve has reduced the number of offices that it needs to devote to paper check processing. Back in the early 2000s, the Federal Reserve had 45 offices around the country for check collection. We now have one office that handles paper check processing. Rather than transporting paper checks, we now collect the checks electronically through images of the checks. This is faster, more efficient, and far more reliable than the earlier paper collection process. And today, almost all checks are collected electronically.
The Federal Reserve's payments system includes several ways of making electronic payments. Fedwire is a system operated by the Federal Reserve. It allows financial institutions to transfer large amounts of funds and government securities immediately to other financial institutions. They use Fedwire to settle trillions of dollars worth of transactions a day.
We're able to provide services to financial institutions that enable especially wholesale payments to be made in a secure and safe and efficient manner. We operate a system called Fedwire, which transfers among banking organizations trillions of dollars every day.
The Federal Reserve began Fedwire operations back in 1918. In the early days, we used Western Union telegraph lines to transmit the Fedwire payment instructions. Today, we're using state-of-the-art technology to ensure that Fedwire is highly secure and has virtually no operational disruptions. This is critical because Fedwire is the backbone of the country's financial systems and processes trillions of dollars each day.
An automated clearinghouse, or ACH, is an electronic network for processing financial transactions. These can include the direct deposit of your paycheck, or your grandparent's Social Security check, or your online payment of your cell phone bill. Each day, the Federal Reserve's ACH service processes tens of millions of financial transactions worth billions of dollars. But, on average, each ACH transaction is only a couple of $1,000s. You can tell that the Fed is involved in cash payments just by looking at any U.S. currency in your wallet. See? It says Federal Reserve Note. But the Fed doesn't print money itself. Federal Reserve notes are printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Washington, D.C. and Fort Worth, Texas.
The Federal Reserve determines each year how much new currency needs to be printed and places a print order with the Treasury's Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Most of the currency we order each year, about 95%, is used to replace soiled or worn notes that we are removing from circulation. We also print notes to address any expected increase in demand and also to stockpile new designs of currency before their initial issuance.
The cash currency is actually produced by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, which is managed by the Treasury Department. But that cash is produced for the Federal Reserve, and the currency says on it Federal Reserve notes. And we provide currency to those who use it for transactions. We make sure that the stock of currency is safe. When it's worn out, banks return it to us, and we cull out worn out bills and replace it with new ones. We try to make sure that counterfeiting doesn't occur.
I'd like to buy this rubber chicken.
$4, please.
Here you go.